Hi, this is Rick Romine with How To Wilderness, and welcome to Shop Talk. In this series of videos, we're going to go over some do-it-yourself projects and tips and tricks that we hope you'll enjoy. These are some of the basic ingredients we'll need in order to create a lightweight soda stove. You'll need a couple of soda cans. You'll need some form of fuel. You can either use a denatured alcohol, which you can get at a hardware store, or you can use heat, which is very popular and can be got at automotive stores. You'll also need something to measure so that we can tell the height of the can and create a straight line. You'll need some scissors to be able to cut the can, and you'll need some way to be able to poke holes in the can for the jets. I like to use a nail attached to a vice grip. Some people like to use push pins. You can also use a drill bit. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of books to get a standard height. And we're just going to take our soda can and a Sharpie, and we're going to go ahead and mark the can so that we have a nice, even, clean line all the way around. And that's what we'll use for one can. The other can, make slightly lower, we'll take out one of the books. We'll go ahead and mark that can. Just get a nice even mark all the way around. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our scissors and we're going to cut along those lines. Now we have a base and a top for our can. We're going to create a series of jet holes around the top. So I like to take a nail and put it in the end of a pair of vice grips, and then you can go ahead and just poke a hole just like that. And then I like to go to the opposite side, kind of keep them even, and poke a hole. And I now have 16 jet holes in the top of the can. Now in order to be able to fill this, I also need holes in the top of the can. So I'll go ahead and poke a few holes here. I need these to be relatively close to each other because we need to be able to cover them with a penny. So once you have your base and your top figured out, the trick is to get the base to go underneath the top and seal. One technique that some people try is to take a full can of soda and use that to help stretch out the upper piece so that it will go over. So by applying pressure and twisting, you can stretch out this can. But even when you've done that, it can be challenging to get that top to fit on nicely. Another trick that people use is to crimp the bottom. So to crimp the bottom, you need some kind of either pliers, needle nose pliers, or any kind of device where you can sort of twist. Able to fit this in. But before we do that, the fuel is going to go into this base. But rather than just having the liquid burn, we'd like to create a wicking action within there. And one way that you can do that is you take some insulation. So this is fiberglass insulation. This is the same kind of insulation you'd find in your house. And by putting insulation inside, I now have a place for the fuel to sort of wick up and be a vapor, and also it helps prevent, if I knock this stove over, it makes it less likely that we're going to spill burning liquids. Okay, we now have the insulation inside and the edges crimped, and we've taken this one and we've stretched it, so we should be able to fit this Okay, that's a pretty good seal there. So now, to add just a little bit more seal to this, you can also take some standard aluminum tape. So this is tape that's can work for heat, and just take a piece of that to put it around it. So we'll go ahead and cut a piece of that. And there we have a penny stove. Okay, in order to light our penny stove, we're going to take some denatured alcohol, which you can get just at a standard hardware and paint store. I'm just going to put a little bit in here. So when you're out in the field, you would carry this in a small quantity that you could easily. Some people use little squirt bottles or nose bottles. I'll go ahead and pour this in. Okay, we'll go ahead and prime that. Now initially, while it's heating up, you'll notice that there are no flames that are coming out of the jet. But as the stove starts to heat, then it'll switch to the flames coming out of the jet. And there you have a lit penny stove.